Right on time for primetime news right here on Kutv on this Wednesday, the 6th day of September 2023, a day for the culmination of the Africa Climate Summit 2023, which has ended with a Nairobi Declaration. What is in the Nairobi Declaration and what is the way forward after this climate summit? We will be taking a look at stories related to this and many more, including Africa Climate Summit 2023 culminates. Leaders agree on developing policies to attract investments in green growth. CS Machakos pushes higher education funding application to October 7, 2023. African leaders urge developed nations to provide $100 billion in annual climate finance. And WorldCoin CEO says data collection has been in operation since 2021 in Kenya. Samuel Kello is our sign language interpreter. My name is Joseph Kess. We are also live on YouTube at Kutv Kenya, and you can interact with us on X at Kutv_Kenya and at Kess Joseph Kenya. Now, the inaugural Africa Climate Summit came to a close today after 3 days of intensive discussions and exchanges focused on Africa's climate challenges and solutions. The summit saw notable commitments from various stakeholders, including significant financial pledges for green growth and mitigation efforts across the continent. The closing day's address by President William Ruto reflected on the achievements and the path forward for Africa's climate resilience. Yvonne Kemoma with more.
The curtains finally closed for the Africa Climate Summit, where the final day saw intense discussion and exchanges on Africa climate situation. In his day's address, President William Ruto lauded the efforts made during the inaugural Africa Climate Summit and all the agendas fulfilled. The president also noted that several commitments have been made by various stakeholders, totaling to about $23 billion for green growth and mitigation efforts across Africa.
It is wonderfully appropriate that Africa is a young continent. The future does not merely belong to us. Our youth make us the future.
Notable highlights from the summit include a partnership set to invest $60 million in rural Burundi to expand grid access in the region. Additionally, there is a $4.5 billion commitment from the United Arab Emirates to boost renewable energy and significant contributions from the private sector.
The reform of the multilateral financial architecture and the mobilization of adequate financial resources is necessary for progress in our journey into the future. We have challenged the international community to exercise a level of imagination in governance and climate action that is commensurate with the imperatives to overcome the immense existential challenges of our time.
The Pan-African parliamentarians during their plenary sessions made several remarks, including a call for increased support and solidarity from international communities, especially the developed countries, to provide adequate and accessible financing, technology transfer, and capacity building for Africa's adaptation efforts in line with the Paris Agreement goal of mobilizing $100 billion by 2020.
We stress the need to more than triple adaptation finance for Africa, largely in form of grants, as current levels are insufficient to meet the estimated adaptation costs in developing countries in Africa.
As the climate summit comes to an end, African leaders are confident that Africa holds the key to global climate change solutions. Among the proposals made is the institutionalization of the climate change agenda. Yvonne Kimuma, Kutv.
At the same time, participant leaders of countries and regional organizations in Africa have signed the African Declaration on Climate Change, dubbed the Nairobi Declaration, in the just concluded Africa Climate Summit held at KICC Nairobi. President William Ruto welcomed the groundbreaking declaration as an ultimate answer to global climate change, making calls for financial redefinement, specifically the liberation of African economies from debt traps set by developed nations. Munene Weru reports.
The inaugural Africa Climate Summit that has just closed curtains at KICC Nairobi birthed a monumental child, the Africa Declaration on Climate Change, dubbed the Nairobi Declaration. His Excellency William Ruto, as the host president of the maiden continental summit, lauded African leaders for agreeing to append to the declaration, pointing out the position of the continent as a pivotal player to climate change efforts, not just in Africa, but across the globe.
As a continent, we have developed our common position, which encapsulates our ambition for socio-economic transformation and our climate action agenda. This position is anchored on the potential that Africa holds to decarbonize the global economy and set the stage for green industrialization throughout the world.
One of the clauses appended in the declaration is climate financing, more specifically the plea to global contributors of climate change to stay true to their pledge of the $100 billion to global climate change efforts. President William Ruto sent out a plea to developed nations to redefine terms of loans and liberate African economies from the yoke of debts in efforts to finance climate change mitigation.
We demand a fair playing ground for our countries to access the investment needed to unlock the potential and translate it into opportunities. We further demand a just multilateral development finance architecture to liberate our economies from odious debt and onerous barriers to necessary financial resources.
Climate financing has taken center stage in the climate mitigation debate, a topic that has well been captured in the appended Nairobi Declaration. And as the visiting leaders exit the KICC Nairobi, the real climate change mitigation will ensue, that of holding true to agreements made in this year's edition of the Africa Climate Summit in Nairobi. Munene Weru, Kutv.
And the initiative to boost Africa's carbon credit production by 2030 has drawn tremendous pledges, even as the United States Agency for International Development, that is USAID, intends to invest over 200 million shillings to support Kenya's carbon market activation plan. But what does carbon credit and the popular green finance mean? Our very own Anyango Silva tells us what you need to know about carbon credits. Take a look.
As Kenya hosts the African Climate Summit, green finance has gained popularity among organizations willing to support the fight against climate change. The funding gives priority to environmental initiatives over less sustainable business investments. However, carbon credit or carbon offset and how carbon market works in managing climate changes is still a mystery to a number of Kenyans. Carbon offset is created through a voluntary reduction of carbon emissions, including carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases that a third-party organization verifies. On the other hand, carbon credits are issued based on a fixed amount of carbon the government permits an organization to emit. If fewer emissions are produced, then the organization can sell their credits. In the carbon market, a seller is a business or organization which reduces their carbon emission to the atmosphere. They then receive a carbon credit for each metric ton of carbon emission reduction, carbon capture, or destruction. However, the buyer is a business or organization who emits excess carbon, and to neutralize their emissions, they purchase carbon credits. One carbon credit permitted is equivalent to 1 ton of carbon dioxide emitted and is worth $40 to $80 as of 2023. Even as Kenya pushes for carbon offset projects like forestry, agriculture, use of renewable energy, waste and water management, various African leaders have expressed their utmost concerns on why the carbon buyers have to predict carbon credit rates in the market. The proposed Carbon Credit and Sharing Bill 2023 seeks to ensure fair and equitable sharing of benefits among stakeholders while promoting development of the Carbon Credit Trading Center in Kenya. Anyango Sylvia, KUTV.
And away from matters climate summit, Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machakos has announced that the application period for loans and scholarships for higher education students joining the 2023 to 2024 academic year has been extended to October 7th. Initially, the deadline for the application process was set to be tomorrow, Thursday. According to the CS, the move is a measure to ensure 100% transition to universities and technical and vocational education training institutions. Those are TVETs. The Ministry of Education has also waived the requirement of ID for underage students. Ms. Machakos has also called upon the Higher Education Loans Board, that is HELB, and the involved agencies to station their staff at all Huduma centers countrywide. Machakos urged students to stick to the set timelines and promised successful enrollment to universities. He, however, noted that about 40% of students are yet to apply for government funding. And the WorldCoin CEO Alex Blanier and OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, a co-founder of WorldCoin, revealed that the cryptocurrency initiative has been operating in more than 20 locations in Kenya since 2021. During a summon by parliamentary committee to give feedback on the security of the data of Kenyans that have been collected through a NISCAN, the WorldCoin team stated that the amount awarded was an incentive to make Kenyans adopt the project. In addition, the CEO also noted that about 700 billion shillings have already been invested in Kenya, so far terming it a genuine investment. The operation that started on 24th June was suspended on 2nd of August after the government sensed fishy activity as Kenyans were being rewarded with free 25 cryptocurrency, which is worth 8,256 shillings to scan their irises. And the ODM National Executive Committee has announced the expulsion of a section of legislators recently allied to President William Ruto and the Kenya Kwanza coalition. MPs Elisha Odhiambo of Gem, Gideon Ochan of Bondo, Felix Odiwuor of Lang'ata, Karoli Omondi of Suba South, and Senator Tom Ojenda of Kisumu have been shown the door for reportedly defying party position and gross misconduct. MPs Patrick Abor and Mark Nyamita have, however, been cleared and fined a sum of 1 million shillings. A host of nominated MCs from Kisumu County also have their nominations revoked, with the party planning for grassroots elections early next year in a date that will be communicated by the party's National Executive Committee. And a Nairobi court has convicted two social workers, Selena Adundo and Fred Leparan, for trafficking 3 infants 3 years ago at Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital in Nairobi. The two have been found guilty of child trafficking and negligence of duty. Elsewhere, the court has also lifted a ban on importation of free edible oils, stating that the evidence produced in court was obtained illegally. Dorothy Musyoka reports.
A Nairobi court today held the hearing of the case of Fred Leparan and Selena Adundo, who served as social workers at Mama Lucy Hospital in Nairobi. According to Nairobi Senior Principal Magistrate Esther Kimilu, the prosecution proved beyond reasonable doubt that Fred Leparan and Selena Adundo conspired to sell a child for 300,000 shillings instead of taking the child to an orphanage. The two are now awaiting to be sentenced in October 2023. Fred and Selena were arraigned in court after an expose by BBC. At the same time, the High Court has lifted orders that suspended the importation of 125,000 metric tons of cheap edible oils. Judge John Tigiti ruled that the evidence presented by the Law Society of Kenya LSK challenging the decision by the government to import duty-free edible oils did not comply by the law. The court, in lifting the orders, said that the petitioners failed to demonstrate the source of documents of the departmental circular that they relied on while presenting the case.
Dorothy Musyoka, KUTV.
Right, I'm getting a reaction from Evan Serem. He's talking about the climate summit that just ended today. He says if the presented and suggested views are implemented, then we as African nations are good to go. All right, thank you. That brings us to the first break of the night. We will be back with more. Stay with us.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audio-visual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Don't slip. I need to know right now, have you managed to locate the rebels yet?
No, sir.
So tell me then, what the are you exactly doing down there?
A witness told me that they saw them walking along the beaches hours ago, but I couldn't see them anywhere when I went down there.
We'll send a search party.
Don't worry, we will locate them, sir.
Move it.
We will find them.
What are some of the ways through which you can develop these skills so that you are comfortably fitting into the job?
You have to put yourself in positions where you are uncomfortable in the sense that you are not clear about what to do.
Because I used to work a corporate job before. So when I left, I happened to visit someone's farm around this area.
So this project is called Security Breach Detector and Furnace Familiarize. It is meant to be used to detect, detonate explosive.
We tackle all the tough issues, discuss all the weird moments, and hopefully share a few laughs along the way.
All right, welcome back to Primetime News. Let us take a look at some business updates. Now, betting companies will be required to pay 15% of their total earnings from gambling activities as a tax to the government, and this is after a suggestion to introduce new tax for gambling companies by the Betting Control and Licensing Board, that is BCLB. On the other hand, in a bid to enhance transparency, the National Treasury is devising new rules to prevent multinational corporations from avoiding taxes. Here's Charles Kirubi with today's Business Wrap.
Following high growth in the betting industry, the state is lining up 2 new taxes on betting firms so as to generate new additional revenue. The Betting Control and Licensing Board, BCLB, has proposed a gambling tax which will be charged at the rate of 15% of a betting firm's gross gaming revenue and a further 1% monthly levy on the same revenue. Betting firms in Kenya are currently taxed 15% on their gross gaming revenue, total bets minus winnings, and pay a 30% corporate tax on their profits. The betting regulators says the new tax contained in the Gambling Control Bill 2023 will be used to set up rehabilitation centers and create awareness on the adverse effects of gambling craze that has since turned into a source of income for unemployed Kenyans. Elsewhere, the Treasury is taking steps to prevent multinational corporations from avoiding taxes through certain types of transactions between their different branches or companies in a bid to promote transparency. To do this, they are introducing new rules called the Income Tax Transfer Pricing Rules. These rules will now cover a wide range of transactions, including insurance and reinsurance deals, shared cost arrangements, and transactions involving financial tools like derivatives. The new rules also include financial dealings like guarantees, buying or selling marketable securities, giving or receiving advances or payments, and deferred payments. Charles QB, KUTV.
And hundreds of formerly internally displaced persons from Nyandarua County spent the night in the cold to protest frustration of pressure to sell their land by a local administrator. The IDPs have vowed to spend countless nights in the cold until the government intervenes and bars the administrator from frustrating their efforts to sell the land.
It was a cool night for a section of Nyandarua County internally displaced person, IDPs, as they spent the night in the cold in protest of being barred from selling a piece of land initially given to them by the government. The IDPs claim that they bought the land 16 years ago from the government after each member contributed 10,000 shillings. In protest, the former IDPs lit bonfires and spent the night where the tents were erected after the 2007-2008 post-election violence, and so that they only leave the land after the administrator was moved from the area. According to the officials, they wanted to sell the land and share the proceeds as they no longer live in the property.
So what we are saying today, we are not going back, and we must support our government. Sisi haturudi nyuma, lazima tusupport serikali yetu, because serikali yetu ni ku make sure kwamba hatuna mahema katika nchi. So saa hii huyu jamaa ndiye anataka kuleta mahema katika nchi yetu. So it's my humble request. Mimi mwenyewe nimechoka sana.
According to the residents of the area, it is heartbreaking to see the IDPs back to spending nights in the cold, saying that they had forgotten about them for over 10 years since they were relocated.
Ruto, kazi yako tunaiheshimu sana pamoja na serikali yako, lakini sijui imekuwaje kwa hii shamba yetu. Kumeingia makataperi na tukiangalia bado ni wafanyakazi kwa serikali. Tunauliza, serikali na mali ya umma wanaingilia wapi? Sisi kama wakaji wa hapa, sisi tumesema tunataka pesa na tumemwaminia mheshimiwa wetu Peter Karioki kama chairman wetu auze mashamba zetu atupe pesa.
Now majority of the IDP members want the 160-acre piece of land at Mawingu sold, and the money shared among the 3,200 members now that the government has resorted them to shallow farm in Makutano area like Laikipia County. Masionjero, KUTV.
And the Western Regional Commissioner Irungu Macharia has ordered an immediate exit to those invading public land for private use. In a statement, Macharia noted that certain individuals have occupied land that was set aside for a project in Machakos County. A multi-agency team has destroyed 46 gambling machines and confiscated 62 cartons of illicit brews, a move aimed at curbing the vices in the county.
Western Region Commissioner Macharia Irungu has issued a stern warning to the intruders of public land to leave at once. Speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of offices of the Kenya Coast Guard Services at Port Victoria in Bunyala Sub-County, Macharia noted that certain individuals had invaded a section of the land parcel meant for the project. Elsewhere in Machakos County, a multi-agency team has today destroyed 46 gambling machines and also seized 62 cartons of illicit brew. The operation was led by Machakos County Police Commander Patrick Lobolia and Assistant County Commissioner Jude Wanjiru, who noted that during the raid, the owner of the gambling machines and 17 people who were caught drinking illicit brew were arrested. The two officials cautioned the public on such brews, terming them harmful to human health.
This effect to the society, it is our duty to tell the society the effects of this, the machines, the drugs, and then all this illicit business going around.
Meanwhile, in Kisii County, an 18-year-old student is pleading for aid to join university.
Geoffrey Isaboke, who scored an A plane in the 2022 KCSE exams, is yet to join the University of Nairobi to pursue medicine due to lack of fees.
Nimeomba serikali yetu inisaidie huyu mtoto atoke nje aende shule. Sina penye nitatoa pesa.
Hata kuandika mail kwa head of state asking for help, nikaattach hiyo document ya nini, but still not getting anything. So if someone ako huko willing to help, you can show us some mercy.
The higher education system in Kenya faces various challenges. Like Geoffrey, many students can only hold on to hope that their dreams to join university will come to pass. Julie Ongaki, KUTV.
Right, and on matters sports, the national football team Harambee Stars has landed in Doha ahead of the Thursday's planned friendly match against the host nation Qatar that will be staged at the Al Janoub Stadium. After their assignment with Qatar, the engine ferret charge will jet back into the country on Friday to continue preparations for their match against South Sudan on Tuesday next week. The attackers' trio of Moses Shuma of Kakamega Homeboys, Elvis Ropea and Michael Olunga will lead Harambee Stars' frontline in two upcoming friendly matches. All right, that brings us to the end of our bulletin tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Our sign language interpreter has been Samuel Kelo. My name is Joseph Kess. Until we meet again next time, enjoy the rest of your week and have a good night.
To locate the rebels yet?
No, sir.
So tell me then, what the are you exactly doing down there?
A witness told me that they saw them walking along the beaches hours ago, but I couldn't see them anywhere when I went down there.
We'll send a search party.
Don't worry, we will locate them, sir.
Move it.
We will find them.